Okay, so for this unit, we will be focusing. We'll be focusing on the endocrine system. So we have just finished. Seems like a long time now. Seems we just finished the reproductive system. So we talked about the male and female reproductive system, and endocrine system kind of goes along with this because we're still talking hormones. So we will get into this today. So this is the lecture. This is the lecture for the endocrine system. Sorry. So this is the lecture for the endocrine system. And you have available to you a hormone chart. So whether you want to print that off and write on it, or whether you want to just type in the document, either way will work. Okay, but that just kind of helps you to get the information that you need from that. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the hormone chart and the PowerPoint. So let's get started. Okay, so overview of the endocrine system. So we have lots of different glands that are going to be secreting hormones into the bloodstream. So endocrine system is kind of unusual compared to the rest of our systems. The digestive system, we have direct tracks to where a organ is creating something and where it's putting it, or the cardiovascular system where the heart is pumping directly into blood vessels and it's carrying it around, your body. Whereas endocrines, the endocrine system, the gland is going to secrete a hormone, and then that hormone is going to travel through the bloodstream until it reaches its target organ. So if you see with that second line there, it says hormones are chemicals that act on their target organs to increase or decrease the activity of that particular organ. So it may be a endocrine gland in your brain that is talking to an endocrine gland in your abdomen. In order for it to reach there, it has to use the bloodstream to get there. Okay. So important, kind of like we see with a lot of, it's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, hang on. No. Can I just go back, please? Come on. Quick. Ah, there we go. So I just want to kind of call your attention to this third one. Sorry about all that. So the endocrine system is maintaining homeostasis. Okay, so again, the balance of everything. So as we see here, we're either increasing or decreasing something, and that is helping us to maintain that balance. Not too much, not too little, but just right. Okay. So there's two types of glands that we can have. We can have what's called an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland. Now, obviously, this is the endocrine system. So we're just talking about this particular type of gland versus the exocrine. So let's look at the differences between exocrine and endocrine. Okay. So using our knowledge of medical terms, so exo, looking at the word exo means to exit, and endo means more internal. Okay. So with the exocrine, let me see my pointer because of the pink and red. So with the exocrine, it says that they are releasing it to carry their secretions to outside of the body. Okay. Whereas with these are the things that it's secreting, which is the hormones, is going to be inside of the body. Okay. So we have things like sweat, which is obviously going to get carried to the outside of the body. That's not something that stays inside of you. That would be very weird. You have the mammary gland, which is secreting milk that is going to go to the outside of the body, and the salivary glands, which is going kind of the outside, but aiding with our digestion there. Okay. With endocrine over here, so we're talking about hormones. So here's some example of some endocrine glands over here. So we have the thyroid, the parathyroid, pituitary, pineal gland, ovaries, testes, pancreas, thymus, and adrenal glands. Okay. So let's look at these guys in more detail. Okay, so the endocrine system and all of its glands. So this cute little dude over here has all of the endocrine glands on it already. So we've got 2 in the brain here. We have 2 in the neck area. Okay, so these 2 tiny ones here, and then the big butterfly one is a gland as well. So we've got those. We've got the one that is in the chest cavity here. And then we've got these 2 glands, which are the same, but in 2 different locations. We've got this gland here. We've got the glands here and here. Okay, so we've got the pituitary and pineal gland, which are both located in the brain. So we've got pituitary here, pineal back here. Thyroid is the butterfly, whereas the parathyroid are the tiny little dots on the thyroid gland. Here's the thymus gland. We have the 2 adrenal glands that are on top of each kidney. We have the pancreas here, the ovaries, and then obviously the testes down here. And then that's going to alter between whether we're talking male or female, of course. Okay, so first looking at pituitary gland. So again, have your hormone chart handy. So looking at the first one is our pituitary gland. So you can go ahead and write that as your first gland is pituitary. Okay, so this is located underneath the brain. So we've got the majority of the brain here, okay, a brain stem. We talked about that with the nervous system and our cerebellum back here with our cerebrum being our wrinkly part at the top. So if you notice, sorry, I don't want to do that. So like your eyes would be located here going into your head. So really and truly, the pituitary is kind of located back behind your eyes. So if you look at tiny little me down here, so if you were to go straight back from the nose right here, you would run into the pituitary gland back there. Okay. So pituitary kind of dangling down from the center part of the brain. Okay, so it's a very small, about the size of a pea, inside of the brain there. Okay, there are 2 lobes. There's what we call the anterior and the posterior lobe. So anterior meaning front and posterior meaning on the back side of it. So each of those have separate hormones that they're going to be producing. So we'll look at that. So it says both of the lobes are controlled by the hypothalamus, which is kind of this area of the brain here. And it regulates a lot of our different responses that are going to be happening where it says automatic or autonomic, automatically. Okay. Okay, so looking at the anterior pituitary gland, we have growth hormone, we have the thyroid stimulating hormone, the adrenocorticotropic hormone, the prolactin, we have follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, and then we have, can't see because of my head, is melanocyte stimulating hormone. Sorry, I'm trying to think about that one. So I'm so sorry that my head is in the, ooh, I can't move myself. Sweet. So melanocyte stimulating hormone. I'm actually going to move myself over here. All right. So if I jump out of here for just a second, we'll go back, we'll pop over to our hormone chart. Okay, so we've got our hormone chart here. Okay, so we said that the first one was our pituitary gland. So, pituitary gland. As you can tell, my spelling has not gotten any better over the break. Okay, so location, you can just classify it as brain. Remember, it's kind of like the underneath side of it. Okay, so looking at our first hormone that we have, hang on, let me zoom in so that I can. Okay, so our first one was our growth hormone. Growth hormone. Okay, and obviously, what kind of action do you expect to see from that? It is going to be regulating our growth magically. Okay. Looking back, we have our thyroid stimulating, we have our thyroid stimulating hormone, which is our second one. So we'll go ahead. I'm obviously not going to be able to write hormone in there, but that's all right because we're talking hormones, so it makes sense. Okay, so thyroid stimulating. So obviously the action of this one is undoubtedly to control thyroid. The thyroid is going to be able to do its own kind of it controls the things that the thyroid controls, which we'll see in a second. But the pituitary is actually going to manage when the thyroid is going to kick in and when it's not. Okay. So you will often hear the pituitary referred to as the master gland of the body. Okay, because he's going to be kind of he, she, whatever, is going to be kind of regulating all of the other hormones. I mean, all the other glands within the body. Okay. So if we look at our third one there, we have our adrenocorticotropic hormone, or thank goodness, abbreviated ACTH. Okay, so adrenocorticotropic. Adrenocorticotropic. Okay. So from looking at our med term stuff real quick, purple looks smooth in a clash. Sorry. Let's do black. Okay. So adreno is going to be talking about a gland, and specifically with this one, we're talking about the adrenal glands. It's kind of redundant because we'll see that adreno means gland, and then we have what's called the adrenal glands. So it's called a gland, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. Cortico, we will see cortisone is produced by the adrenal glands, so it's saying that it's kind of controlling that. And tropic, we learned a long time ago, tropic is talking about like growth and production of something. So we have the growth and production of the adrenal glands and the cortisone or corticosteroids that the adrenal glands actually produce. Okay, so if we go back for just a second, so it says adrenocorticotropic hormone regulates the function of the adrenal cortex specifically. Okay, so we will see that with the adrenal glands that there's also two parts to it. There's the cortex and there's the medulla. We'll see that in a minute. So this one specifically, sorry, OCD, got to go back to red. Sorry, that should be nice. Controls adrenal cortex. Okay, and looking at our fourth one, it says prolactin, says that it stimulates milk production for the breast. Okay, so pro meaning for, and then lactin, like lactate, meaning milk. Hope y'all can hear that train because that's really loud. All right, so stimulates milk production. So that would obviously be for a woman who is lactating, which would be after time of birth. That's not going to be before, and that's not going to be if she hasn't given birth or anything like that. Okay. We also have the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. So we looked at these when we saw the female reproductive system, and this had to do a lot with how the female kind of gets pregnant. Okay. So things that's kind of related to. So it says it's responsible for the development of the ova in the woman, which is going to become the ovum or the egg, and the development of sperm for males. We have for me, so follicle and luteinizing hormone. So this is development of sex cells. Okay. And then our last one for the anterior pituitary gland. So really kind of focus in on that we're talking about the anterior part of it or the front part. Okay. So the other one that it does is melanocyte stimulating hormones. This is sorry, melanocyte. So we have melanocyte stimulating hormone, and that is why does it keep doing that? Oh, so that controls the production of melatonin. So let's look at the posterior pituitary gland. So we have the antidiuretic hormone and we have oxytocin. Okay, so antidiuretic hormone is going to, so if we kind of break this word down real quick. So I have this separated into hormones produced by the anterior versus the posterior side. So we have antidiuretic hormone. I'm also going to write oxytocin because that's the other one produced here. So antidiuretic. So if we break the word down for this one, we have anti, which is against, and then we have diuretic, which we saw with the urinary system. And a diuretic is something that is going to stimulate you to go to the bathroom. Okay. So antidiuretic means that we're preventing you from going to the bathroom. So with this particular hormone, this is preventing somebody from going to the bathroom. So this is going to tell our body to keep water. Okay. So this hormone is quite handy while we are asleep. So with the antidiuretic hormone will kick in while you are asleep so that you don't have to get up 9 times to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So that's kind of a handy hormone there. Okay. And then looking at oxytocin, it says that it stimulates your uterine contractions for labor and is going to help you release milk from the breast tissue to supply for baby. So this is going to start labor and is for milk production as well. Okay, so if you notice, we saw up here we had prolactin, which stimulated milk production. This one also does milk production as well. Oxytocin is more of the beginning of starting that process, whereas with prolactin is something that is going to keep a woman, keep the woman's ability to breastfeed. Okay, so oxytocin is a hormone that we can give our patients to stimulate their labor. So if we are talking about that we are that we're going to induce their labor, then we would give them oxytocin because that is going to start their contractions and all of those things. Okay. So now if we kind of zoom back out, we have our pituitary gland here that is located in the brain. And we have our various hormones. We have first our hormones, our hormones here, which are going to be the anterior. So you don't have to have that on there, but just so you know why these are separated. Okay, so we have the anterior part of the pituitary gland, which is going to secrete these hormones. So we have growth hormone, thyroid, adrenocorticotropic hormone, prolactin, follicle stimulating and luteinizing hormone, and melanocyte stimulating hormone, and what those actions produce. And then with the posterior part, we have the antidiuretic and oxytocin. Okay. So after all of that, that is just the pituitary gland. Okay. So do you need to know all of these hormones? Are they all super important? No. Okay. So let me kind of star which ones I feel like are fairly important for you to know. Growth hormone, I mean, this one's pretty basic. A growth hormone leads to growth. Okay, so pituitary is in control of our growth, so that one's pretty, we need to know that one. As far as other things, if you know that the pituitary kind of controls your other hormones, then that is also good to know. Okay, so we have our thyroid stimulating and the one that controls the adrenal cortex as well. Then it's controlling other hormones too. Okay, so we know that it's a master gland. We have our growth hormone there, and antidiuretic hormones are pretty good one to know as well. Okay. So let's look at this question here. So it says predict what might happen if a tumor forms in the pituitary gland. So I want you to kind of pick one hormone. Ooh, pick one. Sorry about that. Pick one hormone to focus on. So if you are looking at the pituitary gland, so we have our anterior hormones here and we have our posterior hormones here. So choose one and think about, okay, so if we had a tumor in the pituitary gland, what would that do? Okay, so I want you to kind of pick one, think about it, and kind of tell me what you think it might do. And I'll have that question posted so that we can kind of look at that. Okay. Moving on, so we have the pineal gland. So if you see the pineal gland and how it is different from our, I'm going to pop this up right quick so we can see it. So the pineal gland, as far as where it's located, comparison to the pituitary gland, whenever this loads, handy dandy. Okay, so using my pointer again, so we have the pituitary that was down here. So pineal gland is kind of back up in here. It's a very small gland, and it is kind of more internal into the brain versus where the pituitary was. Okay, so it says that it is a pine cone shaped, which is why it gets its name pineal from that. So it's pine cone shaped, kind of in the, so we have the thalamus region, which is kind of where the pineal gland is, and then we have our hypothalamus gland or region, which is where the pituitary gland is. So kind of more very internal into our brain. Okay, so it says the pineal gland secretes melatonin, which is for our circadian rhythms, which is our sleep and wake cycle stuff. So if we go back over to our sorry, that's a little aggressive. So we have our pineal gland, and it is also located in the brain, which we saw. Okay, and it produces melatonin, right? Not to be confused with melanocyte and melanin. Melanocytes produce melanin, which has to do with, I did put, see, I even messed up myself. And nobody was here to correct me. I'm so sorry. So this controls melanin, not melatonin, sorry. So melatonin, this one here, has to do with your sleep and wake. Okay, so melanin has to do with like the color of your skin. Okay, so the more melanin you have, the darker you are, the less melanin. The less color, we saw that melanocytes act as kind of like our little umbrellas to protect us from the harmful UV rays. Sorry. Whereas melatonin is something that is going to help you go to sleep. So the more melatonin you produce, the sleepier you get. Okay. So all you cats who have trouble going to sleep, melatonin is produced more so if it is dark. Okay. So we talk about, like, during the day, there's the sun is out, you have, all this light everywhere, and so you're awake. But as you start turning the lights down, you put your phone down, you turn the TV off and things like that, then melatonin gets produced and you start to get sleepy and you go to sleep. Okay, now there are some people who have their sleep-wake cycle backwards. So I used to work night shift, so I had to kind of artificially kick my melatonin in. So I would take melatonin early in the morning, and then that would make me go to sleep. And then I had like blackout curtains and stuff like that to help. Okay, so that's the pineal gland. Okay, looking at the thyroid gland. So this is the butterfly-shaped one that is in your neck. So if you see me down here for, I'm on the larger side. So if you're talking about your thyroid gland, it is located here in your neck. You can actually kind of feel it. If you put your fingers really far in your neck like this, then you can kind of feel around your trachea there, and you will right there feel your thyroid. And so that's where your thyroid gland is located in your neck. So you can kind of see it in the background back here of, let me blow it up so you can see it. Take another 100 years just to blow this up. There we are. I know what's in the background is kind of hard to see, but if you can kind of see this shape back here, this is the thyroid gland in this lady's neck. Okay, so we have a, so we have a right lobe and a left lobe. I just did that backwards, didn't I? Yeah. No, right, left, yes. So we have our right and left lobe of it. Looks like a butterfly. Okay, so two hormones that our thyroid produces is thyroxine, and we have triiodothyronine. My goodness. So triiodothyronine. There we go. Oh my goodness. So tri goes with 3 for T3 and T4. Makes sense. So these hormones are controlled, are produced if iodine is present, and iodine is a mineral, and so you have to have iodine in your diet in order to produce the proper hormones that the thyroid is supposed to create. Okay. So we see down here that T3 and T4 regulate energy and heat, and they also adjust the metabolic rate of your body. So whether you say that your metabolism is high or it's low, that is all your thyroid. Okay. Thyroid also secretes another hormone called calcitonin, which is going to help regulate calcium levels within the body. Okay. So if you see down here at the bottom, it says the more calcitonin you have, the less calcium you have in your blood. Okay. So if we don't have calcium in the blood, then where's it located? It's in the bones. Okay. So calcitonin is going to help us take the calcium that we eat within our diet and put it into our bones in order to strengthen them. Okay. So we will see that it's going to act in the opposite way as our parathyroid. So let's jump back to our, let's jump back to our hormone chart. Not that one, sorry, this one. And let's put that one in here. So we have the thyroid. Okay, and this is located in our neck. And I do apologize, the twins just woke up, which means they're probably going to be talking. So, anyways. All right. So we said that two hormones that are produced within the thyroid is that I'm not going to write them out. I'm sorry, I'm lazy. We're going to have T4 and T3. You don't need to know more anything than that. That's plenty. You don't need to know the actual names of them. And T3 and T4, we said, regulates things like energy and our heat regulation. So like kind of our thermostat in a way. And it is also regulating metabolism. We will see when we have a problem with our thyroid how kind of this all kind of adjusts. And then our other thing that we saw in here was calcitonin. And calcitonin is going to help put oh my gosh, calcium in bones. Okay, so it's going to store calcium in the bones, and that's what calcitonin is used for the love of Pete. Hi, Jordan. How are you? Okay. All right. So let's look at the parathyroid gland. Okay. So these guys are located on the back side of the thyroid. Okay. So if you were to take your thyroid out, which I don't suggest trying on your siblings at home. So if you were to take your thyroid out, it kind of, so if this is your trachea, your thyroid kind of fits around it like so. Okay, so if you took your thyroid off and you turned it around, your parathyroid glands are going to be located kind of on the inside of that. So let's minimize me again. So as it says here, that they're on the dorsal surface, so that's on the back side or towards the back. Okay, so again, you turn that around and it's on the back side of the thyroid gland. Okay, so they regulate the amount of calcium within the blood as well. But when these levels are up, so if we're talking about the parathyroid levels are increased, then the calcium levels within the blood are increased. Hi, Josie. How are you? So again, it acts in the opposite way of the thyroid gland. The thyroid says when the thyroid hormone calcitonin is up, then our blood calcium levels are actually down because we're putting it in the bones. 1 second. So with this, so if calcium levels are too low in the blood, then the parathyroid is going to kind of ramp that up so that we can have more calcium in the blood. As my patho kids have found out, because we went over electrolytes before, so we talked about calcium already. So calcium is going to regulate things like skeletal muscle stimulation. So whether we have too much or too little of calcium kind of affects how our muscles are going to react to things. So let's put this on our chart. Okay, let's zoom back in and let's look at the parathyroid. Thyroid. Hi, Jordan. And again, that's located in the neck as well. Again, behind or on the back side of the thyroid. Come sit up here. Ugh. Now, and you want to sit up here too. I know. Come on. All right. So with this one, so let's zoom in over here. Okay, so we said that the parathyroid is located in the neck. Okay, and we said that this one was producing, I love the name of this one. It's a parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone, or PTH. You'll see it both ways. Okay, so it produces the parathyroid hormone, and we said that that regulates calcium in the blood. So I still can't spell calcium. Oh my goodness. If I don't think about it, then I can't spell it. Calcium in the blood. Okay, so again, we can see here that these two, these two are acting in opposite ways. Okay, so the thyroid is going to put calcium in the bones so that we can have big, strong bones. There's our bones there. While the parathyroid hormone is more, is focused on putting the calcium in the blood. So what the parathyroid is going to do is it's going to take calcium from the bones and it's going to put it in our blood. That's a little test tube of blood, in case you didn't know. It's a test tube. It's a really bad test tube, I'm sorry. Anyways, whereas with the calcitonin is going to take take calcium from our blood and put it in our bones. So again, we have this kind of opposite relationship between the two hormones. Okay. Here's all the lovely children. So here's Jordan. Here's Josie. Say hi, Josie. Say hi, Jordan. So we're not social. We're not social. It's fine. Okay. Anyways, so that is the so that is the parathyroid and what it does. So it regulates calcium. Okay. So moving right along. So as you can kind of see, it is mommy. We're working from head down. Okay, so we finished up with our pituitary and we looked at our pineal gland. So pituitary was our master gland that kind of regulated everybody else. Pineal gland looked at our sleep-wake cycle. Okay, we talked about the thyroid, which controls our energy levels, heat regulation, and metabolism, also controls calcium. And then the parathyroid on the back side of that also controlled calcium, but in a different way. Okay, so moving our way down. So in the chest cavity, we have the thymus gland. So you can see here, it's kind of wrapped around the bronchus tube as it's going down to the lungs there. It is a binky, but you don't need it because you're a big girl. So the thymus gland is kind of in the immune system, kind of in the endocrine system. It secretes hormones, but the hormones that it secretes kind of helps with our immune system. So it kind of is in both categories. Okay. So the hormone that it secretes is thymosin, and thymosin helps with our development of our immune system. So let's go back to our chart. It was Sissy. Oops, I thought I clicked it. Thymus gland, and that is located in the chest cavity. And we said that the hormone that it produced was thymosin. And we also said that thymosin helps with development. So the immune system, there we are. Okay, so we've got the first part of our chart made. There's a button, let's not click it. Okay, so let's go back over here. Mommy. It is mommy. And where are you? There's a toes. Say hi, Joe. Hi. Can you say hi to them? No, right now. No, right now. I'm just gonna mean mug everybody. All right. Anyways. Okay. So moving along. So we have our adrenal glands. There should be a picture. I don't know where the picture is at, but it's, there's the picture. So cool. All right, so the adrenal glands are located on top of the kidneys, as we can see here. It's not what I wanted to do. I just want to repeat. So the adrenal glands are located here on top of the kidneys. Okay, so we looked at the kidneys with the urinary system. They're responsible for filtering our blood to get all the toxins and nasty stuff out. So the adrenal glands are kind of sitting like cute little hats on top of the kidney. And as you can see here with this kind of breakdown version of the adrenal gland, it's cut open so that you can see on the inside. We have we have the cortex of it, which is the outside, and then we have the medulla, which is the middle part of it. So we said that hormone in the pituitary gland controlled the adrenal cortex. So we were talking about that it controlled the outside. Thank you, Josie. Okay. So again, we have the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla, and each of those are secreting two different types of hormones. So let's look at those. So the cortex, which was that outer surface of it, produces stuff called corticosteroids. And corticosteroids is sort of a kind of broad category. It is it has all these other kind of corticoids that are kind of within this category. Okay, so we have our mineral one, which is aldosterone, and aldosterone is going to help us regulate our sodium and potassium within our body. Okay, and that's super critical. Sodium is going to regulate things like our fluid levels within our body. So if we have too much or too little of sodium, that can affect how much fluid we have in our body. And potassium is a super important electrolyte. It regulates muscle contractions, kind of like our calcium, but this one specifically really messes with our cardiac muscle. So if we have too much or too little of potassium, it can actually kill you. That's fun. Okay, so aldosterone is going to help us regulate both the sodium and potassium over here. We have glucocorticoids or cortisol, and cortisol helps us regulate carbohydrates, which is important. Kind of tells us, can we take in carbohydrates? What do we do with it? But what's really important is that it helps with inflammation. So if you go and look at things that can be used for, say you got bit by mosquitoes. So let's say with all the rain that we've had, you went outside and you got bit by a bunch of mosquitoes. So the cream that you would put on that is hydrocortisone cream. And hydrocortisone has cortisol in it, and cortisol helps with inflammation to make those bites kind of shrink in size so they're not as big, and helps with inflammation that way. Okay. We can also give glucocorticoids to our patients in the hospital. So say they have some sort of lung issue, so let's say they had a really bad asthma attack, we can give them steroids or these glucocorticoids, which are also known as steroids, and that would help with the inflammation within their lungs so that they can breathe again. Okay. And the last corticosteroids that we talk about is our actual sex hormones. So we have androgens, and androgens are going to regulate our characteristics that make us female or make us male. Okay. So let's go back to our chart and write these cats down. So again, the chart is going to be separated by cortex versus medulla. I do believe that, huh? It is a pin. That I don't have the second chart on here, so let me make it real fast. Make a new one. What? Now you can see how I cheat. Ta-da! All right. Anyways, so our gland that we're focusing on right now is our adrenal gland. Okay, and our adrenal glands are located above each kidney. Y'all are doing so well, girls. Okay. And the hormones, so again, like we said with our other ones, so this, oops, sorry, give you a little seizure there. So this was our cortex here, and this one is going to be the medulla. Good cough. No, she doesn't have corona, so stop it. Okay. So our first hormone that we were talking about here, let me go back because Ms. Reynolds can't remember. Aldosterone. Perfect. Let's go back. Aldosterone. And aldosterone, we said, regulated our, so regulates, and I'm going to write the element version because it saves space. So sodium is Na, and then potassium is K. Okay, so regulate sodium and potassium. Good cough. So if you want to write out sodium and potassium, obviously you can. Okay, our next hormone was cortisol. Cortisol. And we said that cortisol was responsible for our, so regulating, regulates, we said carbs and inflammation. Okay. Sorry, it looks like trash. Anyways, and then our last one over here we said was like this? Up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we had androgens, and androgens were responsible for sex characteristics. Which are going to work with our ovaries and testes as well. Okay, so we have our adrenal gland with our cortex and medulla. So let's go look at what the adrenal medulla does. Okay, so we figured out what happens in the cortex. So let's look at medulla. No, that's you, Jordan. That's you. Who's that? Josie. That's not Josie, that's you. Who is that? Me. Very good. All right. So let's look at adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla is going to be producing our hormones epinephrine and norepinephrine. Okay. So you might have heard of the word adrenaline before. It is also known as epinephrine. Okay. So these two hormones are for emergency situations. So if you think about our fight or flight, that the nervous system kind of goes through. So it's okay, calm down. So if you're thinking about that you're running away from something, then your adrenaline and norepinephrine, your epinephrine and norepinephrine are going to kick in to, as it says here, increase blood pressure, heart rate, and respiration. Is it hot? Yeah. It is. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's look at, sorry, we're over here. Medulla. So this is going to be epinephrine. Nephrine. Huh? Choo-choo. Josie has a hat. Okay, so epinephrine and norepinephrine. Why are there 2 bullet points? Not sure. Anyways, get creative. Shouldn't be 2 bullet points because they do the same thing. So this is emergency. Okay, so we're going to increase things like our blood pressure, our heart rate, and our respiratory rate. Okay.
Mommy's.
What?
Mommy's.
Mommy's what?
Mommy's.
Yeah, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Don't.
Don't touch it. Don't. All right. Anyways, so let's continue on. So our next endocrine gland is the pancreas. Okay, so the pancreas is in our abdominal cavity. So in the background there, it shows the actual pancreas itself, but let's look at where it's located. So let's look at our little dude here again. So our pancreas is located.
Hey, Daddy?
No.
Hey, Daddy?
Right here is our pancreas right there.
Hey, Daddy?
Where? Daddy,
Daddy?
has it. Yeah, that is Daddy over there. It is a pinky. All right, so let's look at the pancreas. So it is kind of next to our stomach. It would be in your left upper quadrant area. Okay, so it is a endocrine and exocrine gland, and it's the only one that does both. So remember, endocrine is what we've been kind of talking about, secreting hormones that are going to get carried by the bloodstream. Whereas an exocrine gland was something that is going to secrete something out of its gland to something directly. So we talked about the salivary glands and the sweat glands and things like that. Okay. So the pancreas secretes insulin and glucagon, but then it also secretes pancreatic enzymes that are used with the digestive system. So that's where it is the exocrine gland. Okay. So as it says here, endocrine secretions are coming from the islets of Langerhans. I don't know what nationality, German, something, I don't know. Austrian, who knows? Somebody Google it, enlighten us all. So it's going to secrete insulin and glucagon. So insulin is things that are going to help lower our blood sugar. So if our blood sugar is really high, you just ate an entire giant package of Sour Patch Kids and drank a Route 44 of Dr. Pepper. Your blood sugar levels are going to... You want to go see her? You want to go see her? You want to go see her? Oh, okay. So insulin is going to be responsible for bringing all of those, your blood sugar back down. Whereas glucagon is responsible for raising your blood sugar back up. So say, you go to bed at 9 o'clock at night and you get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, the reason you didn't die while you were asleep is because you had glucagon that's going to regulate your blood sugar while you sleep. Okay. So if you think about it, glucagon, so gluca is talking about like glucose. So a really bad way of saying that glucose is gone, glucagon. It's gone, so it's going to have to raise our blood sugar levels back up. So anyway. All right, so let's pop back up over here so we can see. So our next gland we said was the pancreas. Let's write in pancreas.
Daddy?
You tell him. Okay, and the pancreas is located in the abdomen. And we said it was kind of next to the stomach. Okay, and the two hormones that it produced was insulin and glucagon. Okay. And with insulin, we are totally messed it up. We are lowering blood sugar. So again, you just ate a whole bunch of stuff and insulin is trying to kind of control all that and get sugar where it needs to go. Whereas glucagon is going to raise blood sugar because remember our glucose is gone. Glucagon. All right. So now we got pancreas in there. Good there. Bye, Georgia. Okay, our last two that we're going to look at are our reproductive glands related to that. Okay, so our first one is ovaries. So ovaries and testes should look pretty familiar just because we have just gone over reproductive system anyways. So with ovaries, this is specifically the female. Amazing. And it is located in our pelvic cavity. Okay, and it is responsible for the production of the eggs, and it is also going to produce some hormones too, which is estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen is going to make a female look like a female. Okay, it's gone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then it is also going to regulate her menstrual cycle as well. Whereas progesterone is more focused on the uterus itself. So progesterone is going to make sure that the uterus is a habitable home for baby whenever she is pregnant. Okay, it doesn't work. You turned it off. Oh, sorry. So let's go ahead and write that in as well. Okay, so we have ovaries, so we're talking about the females. Why do you keep turning it off, sister? It's on, see? Thank you. Can you take that back in there? Can you take it in there? Show Dad. All right. So we said that it produces two hormones. So we said estrogen and progesterone. Okay. And we said that estrogen was focused on female characteristics. Oh my goodness, this word has too many letters. And I'm just going to call it cycle because it fits in the box. And whereas progesterone was more focused on, what do they call it? Uterine environment. I was going to say uterine habitat, and that just sounded funny. And then I wrote it. Oh my goodness. Environment. Oh my goodness. Too much going on. Sorry, guys. Uterine environment, not habitat. Oh, sounds like there's rainforest animals in there. All right. Anyways, so the uterine environment. My goodness. Okay. So our last one, let's talk about testes. Okay. So testes are obviously for male, and this is located in the scrotal sac that we talked about with our male reproductive system. So this is going to produce sperm, and then the hormone that it produces is testosterone. And testosterone is going to give them their male characteristics and is going to help them to regulate their actual sperm production. Okay, so let's go ahead and put testes here. Testes. Okay, and this is located in the scrotum. Okay, and the hormone is testosterone. And testosterone is going to be, see, I should have two dots here, whatever. So male characteristics, and that was an awful S. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to rewrite that. I can't handle that. All right, so sperm production as well. And I'm gonna make two little dots because it's driving me nuts. Look, now I have dots. Okay. Anyways, so now we have this one labeled as well. Okay. So going back here, that is the end of the PowerPoint there. Okay. So with this, again, we see that we have our endocrine glands. So we had pituitary and pineal, which were located in the brain, the thyroid and parathyroid in the neck, the thymus, which was in the chest, adrenal, which was above the kidneys, pancreas, but beside the stomach, and ovaries and testes for respective sexes, either male or female. Okay. Again, we said pituitary was the master gland, kind of controls lots of other glands. Okay. Pineal was more focused on wake and sleep cycle. 1 second, we have to listen to the trash. Okay, so pineal was wake and sleep cycle. Thyroid was controlling of our energy levels, heat regulation, and metabolism, and calcium, along with the parathyroid gland. Thymus was for immune system. Adrenal gland was for our steroids that controlled a vast number of things. So we had things that was regulating some electrolytes in our blood. It was regulating things like inflammation and some of our sex hormones, and it also regulated things that controlled our fight or flight, as well. Okay. And then the pancreas regulated our sugar levels. So whether we were trying to get our sugar levels to go up or down was controlled by the pancreas. And then ovaries and testes was kind of regulating out males and females respectively to their sex hormones and to the production of their sex cells and kind of their secondary characteristics as well. So hopefully that kind of helps you to know the difference between the different glands and which hormones they produce and kind of how that happens. If you do have any questions, let me know. If I get kind of the same questions, I'll kind of record like a small video for like frequently asked questions. So mainly what I want you to kind of focus on is what we put on the hormone chart. Okay. Can you say please? Thank you. So we will focus on that. I will have your terms up for this particular chapter, so your word parts for this chapter. And then I will also put a quiz up that kind of shows that you went through this, you watched this video and kind of understood it. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. And we'll kind of get together and talk about it. Okay? All right. See you guys later.